Hollywood, a land of dreams, fame, and fortune. But behind the shimmering lights of the red carpet lies a darker truth. One mistake, one wrong word, or even one dangerous secret could end a career overnight. For decades, some of the biggest stars in the world were not brought down by fading talent, but by something far more sinister: the blacklist. From silent film legends to Oscar winners, Hollywood has a long history of casting out its own. Charlie Chaplin, once the most beloved face in cinema, was banished from America. Hattie McDaniel, the first black Oscar winner, was shunned by the very industry she helped build. Winona Ryder's scandal sent her from A-list darling to complete exile. And Brendan Fraser, once the king of adventure films, mysteriously vanished from Hollywood's spotlight after speaking out about abuse. These were not just career setbacks. They were devastating blows that destroyed reputations, drained fortunes, and left scars that never healed. Some of these stars found redemption years later. Others never returned to the stage they once ruled. Tonight, we're counting down the top 10 stars who were blacklisted by Hollywood and uncovering the secrets, scandals, and betrayals that silenced them. Number 10. Charlie Chaplin. He was the face of silent cinema. The little tramp with the bowler hat, the cane, and the mustache. Charlie Chaplin was not just a star. He was the very definition of Hollywood itself. By the 1920s and 30s, he was one of the most famous men on the planet, adored by millions, and credited with shaping the language of film. But behind the laughter and timeless performances, Chaplin's political views and personal life would lead to his downfall. In the 1940s, as America entered the Cold War, Hollywood became gripped by paranoia. The House Un-American Activities Committee began its witch hunt for anyone suspected of communist sympathies. Chaplin, outspoken about politics, social justice, and his disdain for American capitalism, quickly became a target. Add to that his messy personal life, high-profile affairs, and paternity scandals, and the press painted him as a dangerous figure. In 1952, while traveling to London for a film premiere, the U.S. government revoked his re-entry visa. Charlie Chaplin, the man who built Hollywood's golden age, was officially blacklisted and forced into exile. He never lived in America again. Though he eventually received an honorary Oscar in 1972, Chaplin's blacklisting remains one of Hollywood's most infamous betrayals, proof that even the greatest legend could be erased with the stroke of a pen. Number 9. Dalton Trumbo. Dalton Trumbo was one of Hollywood's most brilliant screenwriters. By the late 1940s, his name was attached to some of the most successful films of the era. But talent meant nothing when paranoia gripped America during the Red Scare. Trumbo was part of the Hollywood 10, a group of writers and directors who refused to testify before the House Un-American Activities Committee. Their crime? Being accused of having communist ties. In reality, many of them were simply outspoken, progressive, or unwilling to name names. For Trumbo, that refusal came with a devastating price. He was fired from major studios, his name was erased from credits, and no producer in Hollywood dared to hire him. For years, Trumbo wrote scripts under pseudonyms just to survive. Some of those scripts even won Oscars, but he couldn't claim them. The man who wrote Roman Holiday and The Brave One was forced to watch others take credit for his work. It wasn't until the 1960s that Trumbo's exile began to end. Thanks to directors like Otto Preminger and Kirk Douglas, his name was restored on films like Exodus and Spartacus. Still, the damage was done. Dalton Trumbo's blacklisting stands as a chilling reminder of how fear and politics could silence even the brightest voices in Hollywood. Number 8. Hattie McDaniel. In 1940, Hattie McDaniel made history. For her role as Mammy in Gone with the Wind, she became the very first black performer to win an Academy Award. On that night, she should have been celebrated as a pioneer, a trailblazer who broke barriers in an industry that had excluded black voices for decades. Instead, her journey after the Oscar revealed just how cruel and unforgiving Hollywood could be. Despite her historic win, McDaniel was never allowed to sit with her white co-stars at the Oscar ceremony. And after her victory, the roles offered to her were painfully limited maids, servants, or comic relief. As civil rights leaders began to criticize Hollywood for perpetuating racial stereotypes, McDaniel was caught in the crossfire. She was accused of playing into racism, and Hollywood quickly turned its back on her. producers stopped calling. Casting directors erased her name from consideration. By the mid-40s, McDaniel, once at the very top of her profession, was effectively blacklisted. The same industry that had used her talent to make millions discarded her when the social climate shifted. Hattie McDaniel's story is one of Hollywood's greatest tragedies. She broke barriers, but instead of being rewarded with lasting opportunity, she was silenced and sidelined. Her place in history is undeniable, but her treatment by Hollywood remains a scar that still lingers over the Academy to this day. Number 7. Fatty Arbuckle. Before Chaplin, before Buster Keaton, there was Roscoe "Fatty" Arbuckle, the first true comedy superstar of Hollywood. By the late 19-teens, Arbuckle was earning millions, adored by audiences, and considered one of the most bankable stars in the industry. But in 1921, one scandal would erase his career in a matter of days. Arbuckle attended a wild party at the Street Francis Hotel in San Francisco. There, actress Virginia Rappe fell ill and later died. Almost immediately, Arbuckle was accused of rape and manslaughter. The press had its villain, the overweight comic whose private life allegedly hid sinister secrets. Headlines screamed for blood, and Hollywood, fearing public outrage, abandoned him instantly. What most people forget is that Arbuckle went through 3 trials, and in the final one, he was acquitted with a formal apology from the jury, who declared his innocence beyond doubt. But the damage was done. His films were pulled from theaters, his contract shredded, and his reputation shattered forever. Even though he was legally cleared, Hollywood had already blacklisted him. Fatty Arbuckle tried to make a comeback under a pseudonym, directing films in the shadows. But the man who once stood at the pinnacle of silent comedy never regained his crown. His downfall became a warning to every star who came after. In Hollywood, one scandal, true or not, could end everything. Number 6. Monique. In 2009, Monique was on top of the world. Her harrowing performance in Precious earned her the Academy Award for Best Supporting Actress. Overnight, she went from stand-up comedian and television star to Hollywood royalty. But almost as quickly as her star rose, it came crashing down, and not because of scandal, but because she spoke out against Hollywood's power players. After her Oscar win, Monique revealed that she was pressured to promote Precious overseas without pay. When she refused, powerful producers and executives labeled her difficult and ungrateful. Soon after, director Lee Daniels, along with Oprah Winfrey and Tyler Perry, were all rumored to have turned their backs on her. Roles stopped coming. Doors slammed shut. The woman who had just won the highest honor in the industry was suddenly persona non grata. For years, Monique spoke openly about being blackballed, insisting she was punished for standing her ground. Hollywood insiders denied it, but the silence of job offers told another story. It wasn't until her Netflix lawsuit in 2018 and her eventual role in The Reading that she began clawing her way back. Monique's story isn't just about being blacklisted. It's about the price of refusing to bow to Hollywood's unspoken rules. Her career shows how quickly the machine can turn against you, not because of scandal, but because of power, politics, and pride. Number 5. Mel Gibson. In the 1980s and 90s, Mel Gibson was untouchable. From Mad Max to Lethal Weapon, he was the ultimate action hero, handsome, charismatic, and bankable. By 2004, his film, The Passion of the Christ, became a global phenomenon, earning over $600 million worldwide. Gibson wasn't just a star, he was one of the most powerful men in Hollywood. But within just 2 years, it all unraveled. In 2006, Gibson was arrested for drunk driving in Malibu. What might have been a minor scandal exploded when his arrest reports revealed an anti-Semitic tirade. Overnight, the world saw not the charming movie star, but a man filled with rage and prejudice. Hollywood condemned him, studios cut ties, and projects vanished. For years, his name became toxic. The damage only deepened in 2010, when leaked tapes of Gibson shouting racist and abusive remarks at his then-partner hit the media. The man who had once been Hollywood's golden boy was now seen as irredeemable. He was effectively blacklisted. No major studio would risk working with him. It took nearly a decade before Gibson was cautiously welcomed back, with his 2016 film Hacksaw Ridge earning critical acclaim and Oscar nominations. But the scars of his exile remain. Mel Gibson's downfall proved that in Hollywood no level of power or fame can protect you from being erased when the world decides it's had enough. Number 4. Winona Ryder. In the 1990s, Winona Ryder was the face of a generation. With unforgettable roles in Edward Scissorhands, Reality Bites, and Girl, Interrupted, she was both a critical darling and a box office star. She had it all: beauty, talent, and the aura of Hollywood's next great leading lady. But in 2001, one mistake would shatter her career and mark her as Hollywood's outcast. That December, Ryder was arrested for shoplifting at Saks Fifth Avenue in Beverly Hills. The image of the glamorous movie star, caught stealing designer clothes, became front-page news worldwide. The trial was a media circus, painting her not as a talented actress, but as a troubled celebrity spiraling out of control. Hollywood wasted no time turning its back. Studio offers dried up overnight, and the actress who once carried entire films suddenly found herself unemployable. For nearly a decade, Ryder disappeared from the spotlight, effectively blacklisted not by politics or power struggles but by public shame. Yet her story didn't end there. In 2016, Netflix's Stranger Things gave Ryder the comeback no one expected. As Joyce Byers, she reminded the world why she had been a star in the first place. But the years in exile remain a haunting chapter in her life, proof of how quickly Hollywood can erase even its brightest stars over a single scandal. Number 3. Rose McGowan. In the late 1990s, Rose McGowan was on her way to becoming one of Hollywood's brightest stars. With breakout roles in Scream and Charmed, she had the looks, the talent, and the momentum to dominate both film and television. But McGowan's career would be forever altered when she decided to confront one of the most powerful men in the industry. McGowan was among the first women to publicly accuse producer Harvey Weinstein of sexual assault. Her bravery helped ignite the Me Too movement, reshaping Hollywood forever. But while she was hailed as a truth-teller, her outspokenness came with a devastating cost. Almost immediately, McGowan claimed she was being silenced and blackballed. Casting opportunities vanished. Former allies distanced themselves. She alleged that Hollywood insiders worked quietly to destroy her credibility, labeling her difficult and unstable. Whether by design or coincidence, her career stalled at the very moment she became most vocal. Instead of starring in blockbusters, McGowan found herself fighting lawsuits, smear campaigns, and an industry that seemed determined to erase her. While her courage made her a cultural icon, it also cost her the Hollywood career she had fought so hard to build. Rose McGowan's story is one of the clearest examples of how speaking truth to power can lead to exile. She may have changed Hollywood forever, but in the process, Hollywood closed its doors to her. Number 2. Brendan Fraser. In the late 1990s and early 2000s, Brendan Fraser was Hollywood's golden adventurer. With box office hits like The Mummy, George of the Jungle, and Journey to the Center of the Earth, he was the charming, physical, and family-friendly star audiences adored. But then he disappeared. For nearly a decade, Fraser was absent from the big screen, leaving fans to wonder what had happened to him. In 2018, Fraser finally revealed the truth. He alleged that he had been sexually assaulted years earlier by a powerful figure connected to the Hollywood Foreign Press Association. After speaking out, Fraser claimed he was blacklisted from major projects and that his career dried up almost overnight. The man, once considered bankable, was suddenly treated as damaged goods. Adding to his struggles were severe physical injuries from years of performing stunts, multiple surgeries, and a painful divorce. Hollywood, always quick to move on to the next rising star, seemed to have erased him completely. But, unlike many on this list, Fraser's story has a second act. In 2022, his performance in The Whale earned him the Academy Award for Best Actor. The emotional comeback was hailed as one of the greatest in modern Hollywood history. Yet the years of exile remain a haunting reminder of how quickly and quietly the industry can close its doors when someone dares to speak out. Number 1. Corey Feldman. In the 1980s, Corey Feldman was everywhere. From The Goonies to Stand By Me and The Lost Boys, he was the ultimate child star, charismatic, funny, and beloved by audiences. Alongside Corey Haim, he became part of the Two Coreys, a cultural phenomenon that dominated Hollywood teen cinema. But as quickly as his star rose, Feldman's career collapsed, and the reasons were darker than anyone could imagine. As he grew older, Feldman began to speak out about the abuse he and other child actors faced in Hollywood. He accused powerful insiders of exploiting young performers and claimed there was an organized ring of predators operating in the industry. These revelations should have sparked investigations and protection for young talent. Instead, Feldman found himself shunned. Studios stopped calling. Casting directors looked the other way. Feldman became branded as troubled and unreliable, a narrative that conveniently silenced his accusations. His career, once unstoppable, dwindled into low-budget projects and reality television appearances. For decades, Feldman has continued to speak out, insisting that Hollywood deliberately blacklisted him to keep its darkest secrets hidden. Whether every detail of his claims is believed or not, one thing is undeniable. Corey Feldman was punished for breaking Hollywood's code of silence. His story stands as the most haunting example on this list, proof that sometimes being blacklisted isn't about scandal or politics, but about daring to expose the truth. Hollywood has always been a place of dreams, but as these stories show, it can just as easily become a nightmare. For every star celebrated on the red carpet, there are others who were silenced, erased, or punished for daring to step out of line. From legends like Charlie Chaplin to modern icons like Brendan Fraser, the blacklist has taken many forms: politics, scandal, power, and fear. Some of these stars found redemption years later, others never recovered. But all of them remind us that in Hollywood, fame is fragile, and the truth always comes at a price. Which story shocked you the most? Do you think these stars deserved their exile, or were they victims of a system determined to protect itself? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your take. And if you enjoyed this journey through Hollywood's darkest secrets, don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell. Because here on Faded Crowns, the scandals, betrayals, and hidden stories of the stars will never stay buried.